From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Students at Evergreen High haven't returned to school yet after last week's shooting there. The incident ended with 2 students hospitalized after the 16-year-old gunman fatally shot himself. About 900 students attend Evergreen High. If you're like me, you wonder how those students are handling all of this. Well, I read an extraordinary story that made me think about those feelings the students will carry with them going forward. The Colorado Sun this week published text messages and videos recorded by the students as they heard gunshots, fled the school, or hid in classrooms. Today, we're going to share some of those texts and moments with you. And just a warning, this is a difficult conversation. If you're in crisis or need help, you can call or text Colorado's crisis hotline at 988. Here's my conversation with Erica Brunlin and Taylor Dalvin, 2 Colorado Sun reporters who worked on the story. I want to read a few texts sent by a 15-year-old sophomore named Katie Clarkson. She heard gunshots and hid in her Spanish class with other students. Katie texted her friend, another teenager, about what was happening. Her friend texted back with advice. Don't make any noise. If something happens, you try to run as fast as you can in a zigzag. Erica, why do you think Katie wanted to share those texts with you?
That's a really good question, Erin. So when I talked to Katie, she told me that she felt like not many of her peers or teachers were talking about what happened with the shooting, and she feels this sense of responsibility to talk about her own experience surviving this shooting. In regard to the text messages, she really told me that by sharing them, she was hoping that if someone saw them, they would just realize how bad it is for a child to have to be sending these kinds of very harrowing text messages.
Well, Katie also texted her dad, quote, shooting. We are having a shooting. It's effing real. And she used the actual word. Her dad got the message and texted back, hide, in all caps. And then he added, I'm coming. These are really raw exchanges from what must have been a desperate moment for these kids. Erica, what made you want to publish them?
So I talked to Katie on Sunday, just a few days after the shooting, and what struck me about our conversation was just how young and innocent and almost fragile she sounded. These are kids. They are kids. Yeah. They've experienced something that all of us hope to never experience. And we really wanted to bring our readers into the scenes of what these kids were experiencing, whether they were hiding in a classroom for 45 minutes or running while being shot at. We wanted readers to understand the gravity of what happened and the lifelong scars these kids will now likely face.
And I think that's such an important point to kind of bring readers into what this must feel like. Katie and other students in the classroom at one point heard a knock at the door and a man's voice saying police and sheriff's office. Katie then posted, if you see this, do not open your classroom door. She thought the shooter might be pretending to be a rescuer. Erica, what do you think that moment reveals about how hard it is for students to know how to protect themselves during an incident like this?
I think it really speaks to just how hard it is for students to trust in the moment that they have people who are coming to rescue them and that they can confidently open a door because the person behind that door is there to help them and not harm them. These students have had to endure years and years of active shooter drills and training.
Right.
And those in and of themselves can be very traumatic. This particular moment with Katie, I think, just spoke to the incredible fear in that particular moment and the uncertainty of, if I open this door, am I going to be the next victim?
So tough. Taylor, your reporting included footage of a doorbell camera on a home near Evergreen High, and the images are haunting. One boy runs to the door, rings the doorbell, and waits for someone to answer. Then you see another arrive. Then in the background, you see dozens of kids run through the woods away from the school. Taylor, what surprised you the most as you gathered these numerous glimpses of what happened during the shooting?
I think what surprised me most was just how common this experience has become. Talking to, interviewing a parent in the story, Sonia, um, she is both shocked that this happened at her kid's school,
Right.
shocked, hurt, angry, confused. But at the same time, immediately after this happened, she had parents of students that have gone through this at other schools across the country reaching out to her and saying, you're now in this very unfortunate club. And so I think the contrast of both shock that this happened to them, but also understanding that this is a more and more common experience was surprising to me.
Hmm. And Taylor, one final detail from your article that really stuck with me. You spoke to the mother of a 14-year-old who was at the school that day. And their family of 4 ended the day by sleeping in the same room together, just so that they could be at arm's length from one another. In fact, they watched the new Superman movie together. What was your sense about how that family and others you spoke with are thinking about as they get back to their daily routines in Evergreen?
I think there's this really difficult balance of wanting to provide normalcy for their teen children who have just gone through this, while also acknowledging the gravity of what they've survived. I think that's a really hard line to walk. That same family that I wrote about that all slept in the family room together that night of the shooting, they spent the weekend in the woods, completely unplugged, paddleboarding and just trying to be free of any
Yeah,
interaction with other people and certainly any news. And so
sure.
I think it's going to be a really, really difficult road for these families that have teens who saw this and survived this. And that balance is going to be really difficult.
Erica Brunlin and Taylor Dalvin are 2 of the reporters with the Colorado Sun who wrote a truly powerful minute-by-minute account of what students at Evergreen High School went through during last week's shooting. We'll put a link to their story in our show notes and at KUNC.org. And you can find more coverage of the incident at Evergreen High School, as well as more news from the KUNC newsroom at our website. Again, that's KUNC.org. And if you or someone you know is in crisis, help is available 24/7. You can call or text Colorado's Crisis Lifeline at 988. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.